Super Lucky Disaster Man. Chapter 88, Whitewashing Records. Natsume Soseki originally came just to chat with Komaeda Nagito for a bit. He had been busy with a chaotic mess, even going so far as to get Fukuzawa Yukichi to help out. Today, he finally had the free time to check in on this disciple of his, who had ended up putting their big fish into prison. He thought Dazai-Osamu might maintain his usual high-quality silence, but as soon as he entered, Dazai-Osamu tore into him without any courtesy and even asked for a letter of recommendation. So now, he finally had time to talk to his disciple. Natsume Soseki had initially intended to share a few heartwarming words, but with Dazai-Osamu right outside, he didn't dare take any risks. Who knew if Dazai would burst in after just a few sentences? So he skipped the usual greetings and got straight to the point. Mori Ogai is your senior, you know that, right? I know. Komaeda Nagito looked at Natsume Soseki with admiration. As expected of Natsume-sensei, all your students, aside from me, are accomplished and full of hope. Natsume Soseki already knew that Komaeda Nagito held Mori Ogai in high regard. Moreover, he was quite immune to sarcastic remarks, so he calmly replied, "You're still young. When you reach their age, you'll also have your own achievements." Ha ha ha, thank you, sensei, for having such faith in me. Komaeda Nagito scratched his cheek shyly. Too bad I'm not skilled in anything. All I have is luck. Natsume Soseki's eye twitched. Luck, huh? What kind of luck was that, anyway? Until now, all of his previous incidents were just minor trouble, but this time he not only sent mimic packing but also managed to bring Dostoevsky into it. He had truly shocked everyone. Thankfully, there weren't too many people in the know. The Port Mafia even thought it was Mimic who had kidnapped Komaeda Nagito. And as long as Dazai-Osamu kept his mouth shut, it was safer for everyone. Dazai-Osamu might be on the run now, but Mori Ogai was still around, so there wouldn't be any over-the-top rumors. For now, things could still be considered stable. However, at this rate, Komaeda Nagito was bound to make another big splash sooner or later. Even Natsume Soseki couldn't guarantee that every time, the aftermath could be cleaned up completely. Take this recent incident for example, if there had been cameras around, it would have been difficult to get Komaeda Nagito out of it. One could only say his luck was quite good. Natsume Soseki thought seriously about why previous incidents were just minor troubles, while this time things had escalated. In the end, he concluded, Komaeda Nagito needed to stay in school, at least then, he caused fewer problems. Thus, Natsume Soseki took the opportunity to say, it's alright if you're not skilled in anything right now. You're still in school, and your priority is to build a solid foundation. If there's anything you want to learn that's not taught at your school, you can let this old man know, and I'll tutor you. There was nothing unusual about these words. Any responsible guardian would say something like this to a child. Komaeda Nagito had no objections and nodded to indicate that he would study well. But you've missed a lot of classes, ah. Natsume Soseki continued gradually, missing so many classes in 11th and 12th grades could make it difficult to get into a good university. I remember your goal is Tokyo University. While I could put you in, that kind of approach wouldn't mean anything to you, would it? In a world without Hope's Peak Academy, Komaeda Nagito naturally set his sights on the top domestic university, not that he had particularly high expectations of himself. Though he did think he should be able to get in, the main reason was that the best schools had the most hope. He wanted to attend a school where he could be close to hope. After graduating from a top domestic university, if he still hadn't figured out his career path, he could study abroad. Komaeda Nagito never lacked money, and he was willing to pursue hope for his entire life. But as Natsume Soseki said, Komaeda Nagito couldn't keep skipping classes. Using Natsume-sensei's connections to take shortcuts would be an insult to Komaeda Nagito. While he often put himself down, it was only in comparison to talents. Compared to ordinary people, he was quite confident. But although Komaeda Nagito is smart, he wasn't so brilliant that he could get into Tokyo University simply by self-study. After all, in another world, he himself hadn't even been able to properly attend classes for very long in high school. He even ran into trouble before he could even finish high school. Now, with his memory restored to an ordinary state, he had no real advantages, he could only rely on himself. Although he understood that. Sensei. I don't want to miss classes either. Komaeda Nagito smiled helplessly. But I can't control things like accidents. Even if he considered passing the entrance exam without issue to be lucky and hoped his good fortune would help him, the college entrance exams were still over 2 years away. It was unlikely that nothing unfortunate would happen during that time. Just in this past year, he'd already been hospitalized twice, and falling behind in his studies seemed inevitable. Looks like preparing for makeup lessons is the way to go. Komaeda Nagito began to think, but I hope we can find a tutor who's a bit tougher. Natsume Soseki. Forget about the tutor, anyone who could get Komaeda Nagito into Tokyo University without him attending classes was talented enough already. There was no need for them to suffer just because they were tutoring him. Speaking of which, upon reflection, ever since he took on Komaeda Nagito as a student, he had experienced more bad luck. There was that incident with the stray cat, which led to him being chased by a whole group of strays. Was it somehow related to Komaeda Nagito? Recalling all those unlucky events, Natsume Soseki felt his bones ache. He almost felt phantom pain as if his tail had been bitten. Quickly, he cleared his throat, regaining Komaeda Nagito's somewhat drifting attention to avoid diving deeper into unpleasant memories. Oda is still alright, but in the next couple of years, Dazai-Osamu will likely have a lot of trouble around him. You already tend to get caught up in accidents easily, add a Dazai-Osamu on top of that, and this old man would worry that you might get kidnapped the day before the college entrance exam or something. Natsume Soseki said, quite objectively. Besides, if he's planning to whitewash his records, at least for the next year, he probably won't be hanging around near your place. He might even go missing for a while. Ah, Komaeda Nagito blinked. He's going to disappear. Natsume Soseki tentatively asked, will you miss him? I thought you two got along quite well. Ahaha, how could that be? Dazai-kun going missing is for a better future, right? Of course, I want to wish him well. Komaeda Nagito laughed, waving his hand dismissively. But it's a bit of a pity, after all. We've been roommates for quite a while now, and to be honest, Dazai-kun's cooking isn't bad. Though sometimes the results could be a bit strange, the taste was undeniably good. Komaeda Nagito's praise for his cooking came from the heart. Natsume Soseki let out a sigh of relief. I'm genuinely glad. Natsume Soseki finally got to say these words. Before, he had felt a bit uneasy, unable to express them. You have quite a few friends now, and I hope you can enjoy the youth that comes with your age. After all, life is hard to rewind. Even in another lifetime, most of your cherished memories were probably at school, right? Making more friends won't harm you. As for what Dazai-Osamu thought, that was none of his concern. He was just an old man thinking for his young disciple. After that, Natsume Soseki carefully introduced Komaeda Nagito to his two seniors, providing examples of when to look for which senior. He tried his best to prevent future catastrophic incidents. If not for Fukuzawa Yukichi taking Yosano Akiko with him, Komaeda Nagito would have almost died, and that was terrifying. The conclusion was simple. First, look for Fukuzawa Yukichi. If he couldn't handle it, then look for Mori Ogai. If Mori Ogai was unwilling, then find Natsume Soseki. Komaeda Nagito naturally responded with a series of yes, 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 even expressing heartfelt appreciation towards Natsume-sensei that could fill 800 characters. Unfortunately, Natsume Soseki saw right through him, knowing that even if Komaeda Nagito agreed now, he wouldn't necessarily follow through. But it was better to say something than nothing, because without saying anything, Komaeda Nagito would definitely act on his own. Saying it might make him listen a few more times. After Natsume Soseki, filled with melancholy, transformed into a cat and left through the window, Dazai-Osamu seemed to perk up slightly, holding his phone as he approached. Komaeda-kun. Oda Saku said he's free today. Should we go have a drink? Consider it my farewell. Farewell? So soon? Although he had just heard from Natsume Soseki that Dazai Osamu would have to leave during the period when his records were being cleared, Komaeda Nagito really hadn't expected it to happen so soon. Dazai Osamu waved his phone around. While you were chatting with Sensei, I was making arrangements with the guy helping me clear my record. Turns out it's Ongo. Honestly, he's such a pain. Since I pushed for a shorter timeline, he told me about my first assignment early. How long will you disappear this time? Komaeda Nagito asked in a joking tone. Who knows, Dazai Osamu said with a grin. It's an undercover mission. Maybe a month, maybe 8 or 10 years. I could even die during the mission. If that happens, to you, Komaeda-kun, it'll be like I vanished forever. Komaeda Nagito wasn't having it. Dazai-kun, you're getting your record wiped, not signing up to be their workhorse. There's no way you'd agree to something inefficient like that, right? Sure, it might take at least 2 years to clear, but 3 to 4 years at most. If it were any longer, you'd definitely refuse. Dazai Osamu drew out his response. As expected of Komaeda-kun, you really know me well. I was hoping to see you be a bit sentimental, though. Komaeda Nagito sighed as he looked at him. And if you did, what difference would it make? Dazai Osamu, still in a joking tone, said, maybe it'd make me reluctant to go too. Dazai-kun, you can be a bit clingy sometimes. If it's because of someone like me that you can't get your record cleared, then I wouldn't know how to apologize. Komaeda Nagito instinctively looked away, trying to cover it up by stepping forward and giving Dazai Osamu a push. Weren't we going to Lupin? Let's go. Catching every little detail, Dazai Osamu smiled brightly. Alright. Since it's a farewell, Komaeda-kun, maybe you could actually try having a drink this time. Chapter 88 End.